The January 20th, 2022 meeting of the Subcommittee on Board of Education is called to order. First item on our agenda is prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask everyone who'd like to please stand as we pray the Lord's Prayer together and remain standing as we pray together. Father, thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. You may be seated. Next, we have the approval of our agenda. Dr. Hooker, are there any changes?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have a change, no public participation for tonight.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept our agenda as amended by our superintendent? I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have minutes from our previous board meeting. We have them before you. Have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
I have a second.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Minutes are approved. Moving right along, we get to the board comments section. And first, I know it's a rainy, dreary night out there. I really appreciate you coming. So thank you for coming. You're always welcome here, invited here. And we really appreciate your participation in our board meetings. It's usually the second Thursday of every month. So we had to put this one off for a week. We'll be back on schedule next month. So please come back. Next in our board comments section, in our recent election in November, we did have 3 board members re-elected. And so we have the Honorable Judge Bruce Wright here to swear us in for our new terms. So I'd like to ask the 3 newly or re-elected members of the board to step forward. That would be me.
What an honor it is for me to be here tonight. And thank you for inviting me to come down and do this. Congratulations for each of you. And I always tell people that school board electors are probably the toughest job in the community. Them and animal control officers, because you're dealing with people's children or you're dealing with their pets. So thank you for what you do, all of you, and you as well. And they're probably the lowest paid too. But anyway, thank you very much. Basically how this will go, I will not require you to repeat everything. I'll go through the oath and you'll just respond at the end by saying I do or I will. So I'll ask each of you to raise your right hand. And I'll state I, and then you state your name, and then I'll proceed with the oath. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will truly perform the duties of local school board member of the social circle city school system to the best of my ability. I do further swear or affirm that I am not the holder of any unaccounted for public money due to this state or any political subdivision or authority thereof, that I am not the holder of any office of trust under the government of the United States, any other state, or any foreign state, which I am by the laws of the state of Georgia prohibited from holding, that I am otherwise qualified to hold said office according to the Constitution and the laws of Georgia, and that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this great state, so help me God.
Well.
Okay. All right. Congratulations to you two. I'll need each of you to sign ladies first. You will sign right to the Thank y'all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Ryan. All right, next, under our board comment section, I'll ask Dr. Brewer to come up and give us a COVID update.
Thank you for giving me a moment to call your attention to some of the changes that have been made on our COVID expectations and guidance. On January 5th, the Department of Public Health released another amended administrative order, which allowed schools to have flexibility in the implementation of quarantines. They've given schools two options. One, that is to elect to adhere to the standard quarantine procedures and expectations, or we can elect to adhere to different quarantine requirements that were developed by local school districts to facilitate in-person learning. Individuals that are subject to quarantine may only adhere to different quarantine requirements as long as the point of exposure occurs in the school setting and as long as they remain asymptomatic. The Department of Public Health recommends that schools that are electing to adhere to these different quarantine requirements require that quarantined persons remaining in the school setting wear a well-fitting mask for 10 days following the exposure. We have added a link on our website as well as on your agenda to the isolation guidance that was revised on January 7th, also to the contact guidance that was revised on January 7th, and we've made updates to our quarantine decision guide, and also that's linked out on our website as well as in the documents for you on the agenda. And we've decided that it's in our best interest to make sure that we allow asymptomatic individuals who've been exposed to return to school, and we ask that they wear a well-fitting mask for the 10 days after their exposure. Families of exposed individuals here in the Social Circle City Schools have several options. One is that they can return to school for those 10 days after exposure as long as they're asymptomatic, wearing a well-fitting mask. Or families may elect to keep their child at home during those 10 days. We will mark the absences as medically excused, and we made it clear to the teachers that we expect for them to be really flexible with the children and families about the opportunities for children to get caught up, whether it's providing paper documents for the families to work on if they don't have access to Wi-Fi, or some of our students are able to keep up with class from home because they have access to technology and Wi-Fi. Also, if we have a student who has a documented medical issue as a reason that would make it difficult for them to wear a mask, then they're excluded from this expectation. Last week, our positive case rate was 0.58% with only 13 confirmed cases here in the district. We are optimistic that our rate will not rise above 1% for the district this week. And so I'll have information ready for you in the Friday update as well as for all of the families here in the community by noon tomorrow to confirm that.
Thank you, Dr. Brewer. Does any board member have any questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Brewer. Okay, next we have the public participation, as we heard earlier. There'll be none of that tonight. We had two people slated, and they both let us know late that they would not be speaking tonight. So we'll move right along to special recognition. And I'll turn that over to Dr. Hooker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, we will ask Ms. Favors to come forward and to recognize the student.
Good evening, everyone. I would just like to start off by sharing with you two events that will be coming up at the primary school. We will have our virtual learning celebrations, and the teachers will have this ready by the end of this month. And we will recognize our students who have been working really hard for their academic performance as well as their behavior. Also, the second event is our Georgia Pre-K online registration. That will be slated for February the 14th through February the 16th. If you know of any a child who will be on or before September the 1st, then that child is eligible for the pre-K program. Now, we would like to celebrate our star student at the primary school. His name is Maddox Spires, and Maddox is a second grader in Mrs. Atha's classroom. He has been a member of our school family since pre-K. And some of the qualities that I have observed from Maddox is that he's a kind-hearted young man, he's a hard worker, and he is a true leader. I remember when we started our kindness garden, and as I stated earlier, he's a hard worker. He wanted to get out there and help with spreading the mulch and weeding, and he didn't want to stop until the job was done. So that just let me know the type of student he is, not just in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom. And also just wanted to let you know that he is, or has been chosen for All-Star basketball. And so he's great on the court, I heard as well. Maddox, he is also a great role model to all of the students. He is in our Discovery program, and he is also a member of our Student Advisory Committee, in which he participates, and he gives us lots of feedback. His teacher, Miss Atha, had this to say about Maddox. Maddox is always checking on friends, looking out for others, and being a friend to whoever needs one. He consistently exhibits empathy towards his peers. So Maddox, we are so very proud of you, and we would like for you to continue to be a role model for your peers at the primary school. Help me to congratulate Maddox Spires. Come forward, please, Maddox. Maddox, is there anything that you would like to say?
Thank you for this amazing award.
Dr. Hargrove, please.
Good evening, everybody. Like Ms. Faber said, at the elementary school, we are also preparing for our semester learning celebrations and just looking forward to the good things that the kids are doing in and around the building and celebrating that success. I have the honor and privilege of recognizing Mr. Case Bryant tonight. Case, this is from Miss Landis, the Spanish teacher. Case is a thoughtful and considerate child. He takes the time to check in with teachers and peers and always goes through his days with a smile. I am thankful to teach a student like Case. And the next one is from Miss Patman, his third grade teacher. And we're going to try not to get too controversial here, Case, but she is referencing your team, Alabama, and she is talking about her team, Georgia, here, okay? I'm going to go ahead and read what she wrote. I had the pleasure of teaching Case in third grade when he first came to the circle. The first time we met was through Google Meets. I think he smiled the entire time we were online. From the thrive in his eyes, I immediately knew Case would be a very special student. His motivation and drive to complete his task during our virtual learning days were just incredible and not something you see in students every day. Even with him being new to our school system, he showed no signs of shyness. He really set the bar high being new to the district. Case's personality continued to stand out even face-to-face in the classroom. He was always kind to all his classmates and always willing to help wherever help was needed without hesitation. Case was a very hard worker and always made sure he took his time when completing his assignments. A very respectful young man with an old soul. There was never a dull moment with him. He was guaranteed to put a smile on every face every morning. We often, me and you and Miss Patton, not me, but I would have debated with you about who had the better team. Miss Patton's team, Georgia, or Case's team, Alabama. It's not a debate anymore, y'all. I really could go on and on about this, but Case, I want to end by saying never stop believing in you. Continue to work hard on whatever obstacles or challenges that come your way. Hard work and dedication will always take you far. I'm so excited to see what the future holds for you, buddy. Sincerely, your favorite third grade teacher, Miss Patton. And then your fourth grade teacher this year, Miss Bruce, says, Case Bryant is a leader among his peers. He consistently displays all champ characteristics and focuses on finding the good and bringing out the best in others. I can rely on him to solve conflict peacefully on the playground and the classroom as he helps guide others toward making positive choices. Case is goal-oriented and strives to make academic progress in all areas. He embraces productive struggle. You can be certain Case is a leader, and we are so thankful he is part of the circle. Keep up the good work, Case. You make us proud. Can we congratulate Case by giving him a round of applause?
Good evening. It is my pleasure to present the award for Star Student for Social Circle Middle School tonight. Our star student is Emerson Spence. His teachers gave the following accolades to explain why Emerson is worthy of this honor. Emerson is present and prepared daily with all of his materials needed to learn. On any given day, he can be found on task in his classes by listening to his teachers, engaging in the lesson activities, and focusing on assignments. Not only does he stay on task, but Emerson always has a winning attitude. He greets others with a smile and takes pride in spreading love and kindness to his teachers and his peers. Emerson works hard daily in all of his classes and strives for excellence. He seeks help when needed, learns from his mistakes, and puts forth his best effort into everything he sets out to accomplish. His teachers recognize that Emerson shows respect for all through his actions and his attitude towards learning. He is truly a pleasure to teach and an exemplar of what it means to be a Redskin at Social Circle Middle School. Emerson, it is my pleasure to honor you this evening as Social Circle Middle School Star Student. We are proud of you and want to express our appreciation for being such a great role model for others. Please join me tonight in congratulating Emerson Spence with a round of applause.
Good evening. It's It's my pleasure to introduce to you an amazing young man who represents SCHS in the classroom and on the basketball court. He is a senior at SCHS with a 3.44 GPA who has pushed himself academically by taking both AP and honors classes throughout his time here. Here are a couple things his teachers had to say about him. I've loved being a spectator for the last 4 years at our basketball games. He's been a pleasure to watch, and his dunk against Monticello brought the house down. However, even more than his athleticism, I'm proud of him for going out of his comfort zone this year and taking AP Literature, and for the fine young man he is. I'm always fascinated by his take on things we are reading, and his smile lights up my room. He is a true role model for his peers. Another teacher said, this young man represents dedication, consistency, growth, and is such a respectable young man. He has grown physically, mentally, emotionally, and intellectually, which represents the core of a well-rounded human being. I often ask our young student athletes what they are planning to do after graduation. Every time I ask him, he tells me he wants to go into sports management. I've had the opportunity to coach and teach thousands of student athletes over the years. The phrase student athlete is engraved in the core of my heart as an athlete and a coach myself. Your work ethic in the classroom and on the court is one to be modeled. You have emerged as quite a leader. Every conversation with you, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. You have represented this community, school, your family, and most of all yourself in the highest of honor. Continue to strive and reach for the sky. You will continue to be successful, this I know, as you have developed in such a fine young man. Congratulations on being selected as Student of the Month. And the last one, there are not enough positive attributes to appropriately describe this young man. He is a leader in every aspect of life, whether it's friendships, the court, or the classroom. He faces challenges head-on with a commitment to improving himself and those around him. Personally, he has been as coachable a player as I've ever had the privilege of coaching. He comes to work every day with the sole focus of improving as a player. Thus, he helps our team improve every day, and it's helped us have one of the most successful seasons in school history. Social Circle City Schools is fortunate to have this young man. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the Social Circle High School January Student of the Month, Mr. Ken Gaither.
I'd like to say I'm blessed and thankful for receiving this award.
Thank you, students, and we've got a lot of competition in the hallway, so it's quite impressive that you were chosen, so congratulations. All right, now we move along to our break. So we'll have a 2-minute break, and then we'll be back with our finance section. Love you to stay, but free to go if you need to. We will return from break now and move along to the finance section of our agenda. I'd like to ask our CFO, Mrs. Nicole Cross, to take the finance section.
Good evening. Tonight presented is the November 2021 financial report. We are 42% complete through the fiscal year. We have 30% of the general fund budgeted revenues, and we have spent 44% of general fund budgeted expenditures. Local tax revenue has started coming in. In November, we received about $378,000, and just recently I received about $3 million. So you'll see that next month. Our other local revenue is primarily received from Newton and Walton County related to our intergovernmental agreements, and those invoices are being prepared now. A review of expenditures shows we're slightly above 42% in people services, school administration, and other support services. This is due to payments made for annual expenses that have been paid in full already. Current expenditures exceed revenue by over $2.6 million, and this is expected until next month when you'll see the tax revenue collections. Encumbrances for the general fund are $190,000. Next are our special revenue funds. There are no changes here. Our awards still sit at $3.8 million. All drawdowns for November have been made and the funds have been received. Encumbrances for special revenue funds total $110,000. And next we have our school food service fund. We're at 62% of budgeted revenues and 53% of budgeted expenditures. In November, we served 32,950 meals. Encumbrances for school food service total $2,000. And lastly, we have our SPLOS fund. SPLOS collections received in November for October collections totaled $173,000 from Walton and $2,300 from Newton County. This is a 25% increase from the prior year for Walton and 16% for Newton County. Our review of expenditures shows we're at 56% for instructional. This accounts for textbooks and digital learning items that were purchased at the beginning of the school year. And pupil services is at 100%. There was one laptop budgeted and that has been purchased. And school administration is at 100%. Only a small amount of furniture and equipment was budgeted and was needed at the beginning of the school year. Maintenance and operations is at 52% due to the painting of the middle high school over the summer. Encumbrances for this SPLOS fund total $201,000. Are there any questions?
Hearing none, I have a motion to accept the financial report as presented by Mrs. Cross. Do I have a second?
I said.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Next, we have our fresh weight update. November collections totaled $2,440.69, and these were allocated to each school for science and math. This brings the total change for schools collections to just over $110,000.
Thank you, Mrs. Cross. Okay, now we'll go to the superintendent's report, and I'll turn that over to Dr. Hooker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we look at our school report, enrollment count, you will see an increase to 1,970. That increase took place with one additional student at the primary school, 5 students, new students at the elementary school, and 8 new students at the middle school, which gives us a total of 14 new students. And none of these students came from Newton County or surrounding counties. These are people who are moving into the school district. Any questions? Me? All right. Next item.
Proposed fiscal year 23 budget calendar.
Right. I want to thank Ms. Cross and our team for preparing this calendar for you. As you look at the dates, we've already begun meeting with our administrative teams concerning administrative budget sessions. We started on yesterday and we'll continue on tomorrow. I will email or send you guys a calendar invite for all of the budget work sessions that will apply to you. You should receive that by tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Hooker. Now we have the Cognia update from Mrs. Warlock.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Superintendent Hooker. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you an overview of the 2022 Cognia Accreditation Process. Every 5 years, systems and schools are required to go through an accreditation process. Our system is scheduled for a Cognia Accreditation review for Tuesday, February the 1st through Friday, February the 4th. Cognia is a global network of educators who apply a holistic approach to continuous improvement, which encompasses accreditation, certification, assessment, professional learning, and customized improvement services. Accreditation is used at all levels of education and is recognized for its ability to drive improved student performance and continuous improvement in education effectively.
In January of 2017, Social Circle City Schools was accredited through an organization called Advanced Ed. As a result of this accreditation process, we received several commendations for powerful practices and a recommendation for improvement. In the area of teaching and learning, our system's collaborative culture and network of support services directed at meeting the needs of our students were highlighted. Additionally, the system's leadership was commended for the partnerships with the community that provide opportunities for students to become college and career ready. An identified area of growth was the utilization of technology to benefit all learners, including staff and students. In preparation for the upcoming virtual engagement review, our district team followed a process comprised of the 5 components shown. As the system's cognitive facilitators, Ms. Robinson and I began preparing through participation in self-paced training sessions this past July. This training was followed by participation in a 3-part virtual Q&A session that encouraged collaboration with facilitators throughout the United States. In November, we attended a 2-day conference hosted by Callaghan in Atlanta. The conference was key to clarifying the process and answering many of our questions regarding our upcoming accreditation process, including how to navigate the workspace and the MyJourney portal where all the evidence and assurances are uploaded. Assurances are statements that accredited institutions must confirm as true and are non-negotiable. The assurance statements are based on the type of institution, and the responses are confirmed by the Accreditation and Engagement Review Team. Institutions or systems are required to submit assurances, and any institution that fails to meet any assurance will be given an improved priority to correct the deficiency. As part of this accreditation review, both our system and schools were required to complete and submit assurances comprised of the 6 components listed in the slide. The accreditation process aligns cognitive performance standards to 3 domains. They are leadership capacity, which is comprised of 11 standards, learning capacity, which is comprised of 12 standards, and resources capacity, which is comprised of 8 standards. Each cognitive performance standard is defined by 5 key concept statements that represent the elements of an I3 rubric. The elements are engagement, implementation, results, sustainability, and embeddedness. The engagement review team uses the I3 rubric to evaluate the degree to which the system meets the cognitive performance standards. The evidence gathering process involved the collaborative efforts of all the district level cabinet and administrative teams and the 4 school principals. Using a performance standards worksheet as a guide, we identified staff to organize evidence and artifacts around these standards. The evidence and artifacts identified in the worksheet were further analyzed in the tracking document to ensure that all 5 elements were represented in the final selection of evidence that was uploaded to the workspace. On Wednesday, February the 2nd, the cognitive accreditation process will begin with a 45-minute presentation that tells our story. We will highlight our community, system, the results from the 2017 Advanced Ed accreditation, the system response to the previous recommendations, and our continual improvement process over the last 5 years. The last component of the cognitive accreditation process is the interviews, which are scheduled via Zoom, and they are the primary focus of this visit in February. Because this is a virtual review and the engagement review team is not able to observe and see the standards in our classrooms, hallways, and offices, the interviews are the opportunity for us to share our practices towards continuous improvement. Both internal and external stakeholder groups will represent the district in these interviews. On the last day of the visit, Friday, February the 4th, the engagement review team will deliberate over the evidence we have provided through artifacts and interviews. At the end of the day, the engagement review team will meet with our superintendent, Dr. Robbie Cooper, for an exit conversation. The district will receive a full report of the findings of the engagement review team at a later date. Thank you for the opportunity to share a brief overview of the Callaghan accreditation process. We are available if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Wood. Next, we have our Superintendent Conference. Dr. Hoover.
Thank you. I would like to thank Lisa and her team for preparing for our cognitive visit, as well as our principals and other staff members. This has taken a lot of time to get done, but I'm excited about the cognitive team reviewing our documents and recommendations and accommodations that they will share with us afterwards. I want to start off with my comments again, thanking our board members for being re-elected and continuing to put our top priority as being our students and providing a high-quality education for them. I also want to thank our faculty and staff, and as well as our parents, for pivoting with us as we opened up the school year and had to go remotely. It turned out well for us, and just thank you for that. One other thing I would like to recognize is our SROs. January the 9th was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. This evening, I would like to recognize our school resource officers. Officer Johnny Campbell has served the primary school and the elementary school. This is his second year. Officer Devin Williams has served the middle school and high school for 2 years. I believe I'm correct in saying that. And we want to thank them for what they do. As a parent myself, the safety of our children is the top priority, and we're incredibly grateful for their commitments to the students and staff. And this is hard for me to say to you tonight, but congratulations to UGA for winning the national championship. That's a big pill for me to swallow, but I do want all of us to do it in unison. Go Dogs. All right, thank you. All right, that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Hoover. Next, we have a series of new business and action items. So we'll take them one at a time here. We'll go first with the varsity rifle team field trip request. You see it before you. Have a motion to accept this recommendation for this overnight field trip request. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. The next field trip request we have for a baseball tournament next month. See it before you. Have a motion to accept this field trip request. Have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, another field trip request. This is for honor band at Jefferson next month. I have a motion to accept this field trip request. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. All the field trip requests are approved. Next, we have a order of proceedings for 2022. The recommendation is to follow superintendent's recommendation that we use Robert's Rules of Order, as we have in previous years. I have a motion to accept this recommendation from our superintendent. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Next we have recommendation for Title I, Title II, Title VI, Title IX, Title 504, and 88 programs. Here. It is the superintendent's recommendation that Dr. Watkins is appointed the coordinator for Title I, Title II, Title VI, and Dr. Sneed is appointed coordinator for Title IX, Title 504, and 88 programs for the year 2022. Do I hear a motion to accept this recommendation from our superintendent?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have a recommendation from our superintendent for our legal firm representing the school board. The recommendation is we continue to use Harbin, Hartley & Hawkins, LLP, as board attorney for the year 2022. I have a motion to accept this recommendation from our superintendent. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have election of board vice chair. Does anyone on the school board want to make a nomination for vice chair for the school board for this year? Mr. Jackson nominates Sabrina Sanford Flynn. Do I have a second for that nomination?
Second.
Any discussion? That nomination is accepted. Do we have any other nomination? I have a motion to accept the nomination of Sabrina as our vice chair for this year. Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Congratulations, Sabrina. You're vice chair again. All right. Now, the superintendent is recommending a fiscal dispository. And the recommendation from our superintendent is the Bank Social Circle for this year. I have a motion to accept this recommendation from our superintendent. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have the liaison, delegate, and alternates to the state legislature for our school board. Do I have a nomination for the liaison? Do I have a second for that nomination?
I second.
All right, are there any other nominations? I have a motion to accept the nomination of Steve Trentham as liaison delegate. Elect him for this year. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Now a nomination for an alternate. I have a second for that nomination.
I second.
Any other nominations? Do I have a motion to accept Michael O'Connor to be elected as our alternate for this year? Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Steve and Michael. All right, and now, action item for our proposed calendar for the 23-24 school year. Looks like Dr. Boomer's going to go over that with us before we vote.
Yes, just wanted to point out a few things. We've discovered over the last several years that the format of the calendar that we're using is working really well for us. We have heard loud and clear from our principals that they appreciate the fact that we're front-loading all of our professional development to be at the start of the year so that we make sure that we have time and opportunity to learn the things that we need to do to help our students to be successful, and then also opportunity to practice and review. So it's very similar to the other calendars that we've utilized. You'll see that there's still a full week for students and for staff members of fall break in October. In November, a week for Thanksgiving, 2 weeks in December, and then in January, we have our 2 professional learning days that give us an opportunity to just do a check-in about the things that we've trained on earlier in the year to make sure everybody's doing what it is we need for them to do. We also have days off, of course, for Martin Luther King, and then in February, a full week during the first week of April for spring break. And again, we'll have our traditional graduation on Friday, May 24th, which will be right before the Memorial Day holiday. Any questions? Yes, sir.
How do our spring and fall break dates align with some of the big years?
Yes, so we coordinate with Walton County Schools. However, they have followed the same sort of a calendar over the last several years as well. We know that that helps so many of our families, but we are actually a year ahead of them in our planning. So it is our hope that they will follow our calendar and coordinate, but being able to be this far out with our calendars really helps our academic planning and professional learning planning. It also helps our coaches as they're making plans for their athletic schedule. So you'll note that this is the 23-24.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brewer. Do I have a motion to accept the proposed calendar for 23-24 school year? Not a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. The calendar is accepted unanimously. The next item is an action item for redistricting bill. And this one, wanted to have a comment before we proceed here. One of the things that happened 10 years ago was that for whatever reason, the districts within our city are different for our city council officials versus our elected school board officials. And tonight, before our board meeting, Dr. Hooker and I met with our mayor and city manager. And we're not sure that this new redistricting lines us back up or not. So we thought it best to table this until next month, to our next board meeting, because we feel like it's best for our citizens. If they're in District 3 or District 3, whether it's the school board or the city council, if that's possible. So I want to make a motion that we table this for our next board meeting so that we can try to make that line up between now and then. I have a motion to accept that motion. Or do I have a second to that motion? Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. This action item will be back on our agenda for our next board meeting. Okay, moving right along, we'll go ask that we exit regular session and move to executive session to discuss personnel and real estate. Have a motion to do so. Have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll be back in a few minutes. Have a motion to exit executive session and re-enter regular session. Have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Back in regular session. And we're going to go with the superintendent's personnel recommendations. We'll start with the certified slate first. We have retirement of Michael Cross, certified teacher in our high school. We have the resignation of E. Davis, pre-K teacher in our primary school. I have a motion to accept these recommendations from our superintendent. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we will take the classified recommendations in one slate. I'll read them and we'll vote. We have Rosie Crowley, School Food Service Sub. Carly Dunn, School Food Service Assistant. Ashley Kimlinger, Paraprofessional. Garrett Knox, Assistant Tennis Coach High School. Nicole Peters, Aftercare. Barbara Richardson, Paraprofessional Middle School. Marley Ruark, Assistant Soccer Coach High School. LaShonda Taylor, School Food Service Assistant. Then we have the following resignations. Kay Collier, Paraprofessional Middle School. Brian Eads, High School Varsity Softball Coach. Tanya Smith, Bookkeeper Middle School. Then we have in retirement, Emily Holmes, Bookkeeper Elementary and Primary School. I have a motion to accept all of those personnel recommendations from our superintendent. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have recommendations from our superintendent for overnight chaperones. We'll take them on 2 slates. First slate will be Gina Bass, Holly Lamb, and Jennifer Malton. Have a motion to accept these recommendations from our superintendent for chaperones. Do I have a second? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have an overnight chaperone for recommendation for Lisa Callaghan. Have a motion to accept this recommendation from our superintendent.
So moved.
Have a second? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. I abstain. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention, me. So that's approved. Have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you.